Hi everyone, this is Pikisithlord, and this is the video I promised I'm gonna make for showcasing the build I made with the Shards Sorcerer. In my opinion, this build is the best, literally for anything you find out there. I mean, I've also showed in the video before, with this build what you can do. So, let's begin. First of all, skill tree. What I'm going to show you, you need to be 50 level and at least have, I think, 3 skill points unlocked extra. I haven't unlocked everything because of real life routine. I haven't been able to play a lot, but still, I can show you the build. So, I will explain everything later. I'm just going to show you now what we are going to put. This is the first part of the video. Let's begin. Firebolt, rank 1. Rank 1 Frostbolt, Enhanced Frostbolt, Glinting Frostbolt, okay? Now, maximize Ice Shards, then Enhanced Ice Shards, then Destructive Ice Shards. Maximize Devastation, maximize Elemental Dominance. 1 point in Teleport. Of course, if you get more points, just put 1 more in Enhanced and Shimmering. But you always need to have 1, it's not necessary for the other 2. Then, 1 in Ice Armor, Enhanced Ice Armor, and Shimmering Ice Armor. 1 point in Frost Nova, it's 3 because of an item. Enhanced Frost Nova, Mystical Frost Nova. Precision Magic maxed. Align the Elements 1. Mana Shield maxed. Protection maxed. Nothing in Mastery. Then we go here. 1 point in Fiery Surge, 1 point in Endless Fire, maximize Warmth, Deep Freeze Ultimate, Prime Deep Freeze, Supreme Deep Freeze, maximize Permafrost, maximize Hoar Frost, maximize Icy Touch, maximize Frigid Breeze, and then we put Avalanche. Okay. So, let's explain how this whole thing works. Right? After you put all this, in the enhancement slot, you put this, Firebolt Enhancement. That's the only reason we put it 1 point. Direct damage from skills apply to an additional 1024 or something burning damage over 8 seconds. We don't care about the damage at all. Even if it says literally 1, we don't care about it. Also, you need to put this, direct damage from skills applies up to 50% chill. Okay? So, how this whole thing works. Your main spammable ability, as we all know, is Ice Shards, right? So, Ice Shards have a 40% chance to ricochet to another enemy. Ice Shards always ricochet off of frozen enemies. We've seen that to all other videos, right? And also, when you hit one enemy with 5 Ice Shards in a single cast, it makes them vulnerable for 2 seconds. Okay, keep that in mind. Now, let's say you have a problem with the mana. You can spam literally 3 or 4 Frostbolts and you get your mana because of clicking Frostbolt. Especially if enemies are gathered or frozen, I click literally once Frostbolt and the mana immediately goes poop! Almost maxed out. But this happens rarely. Most of the times you have mana. Alright. So, we put rank 1 Firebolt, I told you why. Then, we put Devastation, maxed out, you need mana in this build. And as long as you have 50 mana above, your core skills do 9% more, which is Ice Shards. Okay. 1 rank of Teleport, I'll explain why. You know this whole thing too. Also, when you have Ice Armor, you have mana regeneration, and you have 50% chance when enemies hit you to be frozen. Okay. Also, you have a lot of lucky hit chance. You have almost always this thing is up, 50 damage reduction, and also I'm gonna explain how this can be used so good that you literally don't even have the need to use a potion. So, when I built this character, I haven't died literally for so many days. I rarely even use potions. especially to enemies in my level or 5 levels above or 6 levels. I don't use potions at all. I don't care, literally. So, how this whole thing combines. The reason I'm not losing mana is because of this. Lucky hit. Cold damage against vulnerable enemies has up to 20% chance to generate 15 mana. The thing is, Ice Shards lands 5 hits. Actually, it's 5 shards in an enemy. Okay? Now, if you also have the legendary Cold Ice Shards PS 7 times, dealing 13% less damage per subsequent enemy hit, that's even more. So when I find a group of enemies, I literally spam the whole time Ice Shards, and my mana is always full. And I take also the full advantage of the other pack with a 50 mana or above, more damage. So, we got this out of the way. I explained you about the mana, I also explained to you about the vulnerability, how it works, alright? Now, let's say you are in a situation of danger, okay? Let's say you are surrounded by enemies and you don't have teleport. Once you freeze them, okay, and you have enemies around you, and you have this sweet legendary, you heal for 30 life per second for each close enemy. Plus, whenever you hit enemies with Ice Shards, at least once, in all this AoE and all this spammable thingy I told you, you have this. Every second you heal 0.9% of your max life, and if it's an elite, almost 2% of your life. This mixed with this, and if you also put a lot of hit points in yourself, damage reduction from close and distant enemies, you cannot die. Literally. Sometimes you don't even have to freeze the enemies. If you use the armor, what is it? The barrier. Okay, let's say you have hit points like here. You use the barrier and enemies come around you and they are burning. You instantly go to full life. And the barrier saves you because you actually had this 1 second to regen. Sometimes you can even use this advantage with teleport. Teleport inside the enemies in case you need the barrier, 30% life with the teleport. In case you need to do, let's say, an offensive teleport. Teleport around your enemies which are around you. That way, you also go to instant life again. In case you don't have space to go out of there also, you can use the offensive teleport. Alright? And that covers it up. And if things go south completely, you know, really bad, you have Deep Freeze. Not only makes you invulnerable in the ice and it chills the enemies, and guess what, you get healed while inside. After you get outside, enemies who have frozen create a barrier for you. And when you're in a barrier, you also regen a lot. From the hit and from the legendary item. And not only that, Deep Freeze also reduces your cooldowns by 50% in case things went south. Alright. And even if you do this, and imagine I haven't maxed out the renown everywhere, I think around the 3 factions which I needed to max out. Anyway, I have 9 potions because the legs gives me +2 potion capacity. With this build, you literally cannot die, you are tanky as hell, you do tons of amount of damage, you have crowd control, you have mobility, you have survivability, you have burst, and you have amazing range and melee capabilities because when enemies approach you, you also have that. Don't forget it. Direct damage from skills, applied chill, so when you spam this, they get frozen. And when there are many gathered together, they all get frozen without the frozen nova. And sometimes they froze when they hit you with the ice armor. Alright. Keep also in mind that upgrade Hoarfrost as much as possible. Chilled enemies take 50% more and 30% more frozen enemies. But you say, hey Pikisithlord, this doesn't work on bosses. Correct, but I have a solution for that too. So, vulnerability works on bosses, obviously. Now let's go to the items. This is where the thing gets extremely sweet. Okay. First item. You have 20% increased crowd control duration. This thing, for 3 reasons, it's amazing. First reason. Crowd control duration in Diablo is considered everything that is crowd control. Not only fear effects, stun effects, frozen effects, also slow effects, which means chill effects. Okay. You've noticed, all of us noticed that bosses have that poise bar. Once that poise bar goes full, the boss gets stunned, and the boss, you can easily hit him. That 20% increase actually makes you do that 20% faster on a boss. Not only that, while enemies are unstoppable, you deal 32% increased damage to them. All bosses in the game are constantly unstoppable. So that's a 32% increased damage for you there. And into some elites. Okay. Now, you remember something about the barrier I was saying. There is a reason for that. Where is that? Yes. Your lucky hit chance is increased by 50% while you have a barrier active. Please remember that lucky hit chance is our avalanche, which makes your next ice shards consume no mana and deal 40% increased damage, and chance is doubled against the vulnerable enemies. You can make vulnerable enemies with all the ice shard spam you have and the frost nova. Okay, and not only that, where is it? Yes, when the avalanche thing procs, you have 1 additional cast. That means the next 2 ice shards you spam have no mana cost and 40% increased damage. Okay, and as long as you have a barrier, the chances of where is it? Yeah, the chances of lucky hit chances anyway is increased by 15%, which is a lot, because this talent gives you a lot, and when you have a barrier, it actually doubles. Now here comes the sweet thing. In PvP, bosses and elites, this thing is fantastic. Damaging an elite enemy grants you a barrier absorbing up to 3,322 damage. When you have this up, I literally spam ice shards. My mana never gets off. Never. Okay, and if it gets, I just spam 3 or 4 frost bolts and it's up to full. Okay. Make sure when you make this build to have a lot of damage reduction from close enemies, damage reduction from distant enemies, and also get a lot of hit points. Because you have tons of damage from the synergy of the barriers, the vulnerabilities, and the frost skills. So your damage is not a thing. As you can see in the previous video, I was killing enemies above 15 levels. Because of that. Okay. Now, I think I've explained all of these items, as you can see them. I said PS 7 times, okay, yeah, I told that. Now we go in here. This passive gets off really fast. You need to have a lot of mini hits in the same way. So, guess what? Ice shards release 5 shards, and when you spam them, literally in 1.7 seconds, if I'm counting correctly, you unleash 15 shards. So this passive works all the time. This passive, once it max, which is maxes in like 2 or 3 seconds, I think, even against an elite, my armor reduction from 42% goes 75%. And it's not only physical damage. If you read the stats also say that, for example, lightning resistance. Let's go and check lightning resistance to tell you an example. Where is lightning resistance? There it is. Reduce incoming lightning damage by 23.3. Makes up 50% of your initial damage reduction from lightning, with the remainder contributed by armor. Armor in this game is everything in your health. Okay. So, with that being said, you even have more hit points. Now this. Obviously, most of your enemies, either you have a huge barrier or they are standing still. Now, if I'm standing still, each second I get 10% more damage, up to 30. I don't care, most of the time they are running extremely slow. Even if they hit me, I get no damage. Alright? And if they do, I regen like hell, literally. Because of the warmth and the enemies around me. And so many damage reductions. I don't feel it. Also, you need to chase maximum life. And the 85 life regeneration, while not damaged recently, it's completely OP for your survivability. Because with so much spam from Isat, many times I don't use Frost Nova because they all get frozen, and when they're frozen, they don't hit you. And when they don't hit you, you regen. It's simple. Right. Also, this one is amazing. Critical strikes with core skills obviously Isat, increases your attack speed by 16% for 5 seconds. So that means 60% faster cast. Not only that, this ring gives me cold damage, obviously, distant damage, alright, distant damage is everything considered not melee, burning enemies, they are burning from your passive which heals you, so you do more damage to them, and more damage to slow the enemies because you chill them. So, with all that being said, I find it very reasonable that you can kill those enemies so many levels above you. And a huge reminder, in the previous video, I wasn't as strong as right now, because I'm 4 levels above and I got much more better items. They had the same legendaries as this, but they had much more worse stats. Much more worse. Let me show you something else too. You also have a lot of potions, let's not forget that, the potion capacity. Where is it? Let me show you one moment, please. Trying to find it. Lucky 15, lucky hit slow, no. Sorry. Ah, yeah. Damage reduction from distant 33.3. Mixed with the 75 from armor, you don't care. They also get burned, you get healed. And if they get close, you have this, and if you don't use them, you have 25, the 75, the regen from here, and the regen from burning. So that's it, folks. This spec I managed to make is tanky, mobile, CCing, bursty, and unending. I hope you like the video, and in the future, I will try to make a video in World Tier 4, which I'm gonna go once I reach 60 level. Thanks for watching. Pikisithlord out.